Good morning, afternoon, and evening, everyone. Welcome to my Gameweek 5 Team Selection video. I'm recording this on Friday, one day before the Premier League games kicked off. All the press conferences are done for the day. I wanted to keep this one late this week since we have so many players with injury doubts. We had the Champions League, we have the press conferences information from today. So I'll be able to unpack all the latest information we have ahead of tomorrow's deadline. So let's start right away. Game week 4, less about it the better. Only 40 points with the only returns coming from Haaland captain. Not been a great start of the season. In fact, I would say one of my poorest yet. But not much now to go, longer to go now before the wildcard. We'll be activating it tomorrow very likely. So let's start now looking forward. First up, let's look at the team news for João Pedro. The tweet now from Brighton says that João Pedro will train today ahead of Game Week 5 with a late decision on his involvement still to be made. Hurster said that we won't take any risks, but he will be part of the training. So pretty much this makes him a classic don't buy, don't sell. If you hold Pedro, if you still have him, you have to start him because the fixture at home is a great one and it's a possibility that he could be left out of the squad altogether. That, of course, is the possibility that he comes off the bench with somebody like a Rutter starting, but the ceiling is very high in a fixture like this. So if you have Pedro, start him. If you don't have him, I probably wouldn't be buying him if you're in the market for a forward. Just too much uncertainty there because Brighton have a good squad. They have good players who can play in that position. They don't necessarily need to risk him with so many tough games coming up right after this. The Liverpool news is interesting now. This specifically, Slot was asked on Nunes. He mentioned that Nunes will get his chance in the near future. We play a lot of games. He's fitter and fitter now. But his competition was Diego, who, in our and my opinion, has done really well in the last games. So that would indicate that Jota is likely to start despite starting in midweek, I think. And you'll probably see Nunes in the Carabao Cup midweek against West Ham. So it's the same thing with Jota. Usually expect like 60 to 70 minutes, and I think that's what we will get. And if you have Jota, I don't think he's worth a transfer out, even if we get some sort of leak that he's not starting, because again, he's going to get 30, 35 minutes off the bench. But assuming we get no news, I think it's very likely based on this that Jota does start. And it's quite clear that he is the first choice centre forward now. You always do start your first choice centre forward in a tough Champions League away game. And Jota, even though he's not found the back of the net, he's been good in terms of link up play and all the other things. So as a Jota owner, I'm pretty confident for a start, especially after reading this tweet. Another thing that I've not mentioned over here is that Alisson is currently a doubt. Slot said that he actually had some problems before Milan, but it's actually gotten a bit worse. But again, I think that probably affects our Liverpool defensive assets. If you're looking to double up on like a Robertson this week, maybe look elsewhere. It's nothing major really. The Isak one is quite interesting. Now, if you've been on Twitter and you've seen the pictures of Isak with the eye patch, that's not really a genuine picture. It's photoshopped. You can tell from the kit, it's the older kid that he's wearing over there. Now, the specific quotes from today, how on Isak, he took a knock to his foot. We'll find out more today and make a decision. Hopefully, it's not too bad. Further on, he said, it was a strange one with his eye. The ball just grazed it. We felt at the time that was the main reason for him coming off the pitch. He took a knock to his foot as well. It's a combination of the two. Now, the news of the injury was broken yesterday by the Daily Mail, but I think there's a bit of sensationalism there. The main content was behind a paywall and was specifically tagged FPL, so they knew what they were doing. They were looking to create a bit of ruckus with the news. If you ask me to guess, and again, this is a pure guess because we really can't trust anything that Eddie Howe says. You guys already know this from a couple of years following Newcastle. I do think Isak starts, and we might get some news of him traveling because it's an away game by Saturday. So keep your eyes peeled. If he does start, I think the fixture is pretty good. But again, it's 50-50, but personal guess is that he does start. Now let's have a look at game week 5 odds now from Rob T, the usual stuff. Not projected to be a very high scoring week, as you can tell from the odds over here. The only teams projected to score over 2 goals are Liverpool, Tottenham, and Villa. And even in terms of clean sheet odds, you look at only Liverpool, that is 40%. Everybody else is 31, 34, which is not great. So it does indicate that this is a bit of a low ceiling week. Look to ride it out. There's not that much upside here if you have to chase it. Now, if you are looking for 1 week punts or short term transfers, the fixtures there to target are obviously Liverpool, Tottenham, and Villa. I think the Leicester Everton one also could potentially be good. I'll talk about my transfer options. It'll likely be from that fixture. But otherwise, you don't really see many clean sheet bankers, especially this week. City, Arsenal, you see City ranked 34%. That's just before the Odegaard news really broke. So this potentially could have changed even further then. Similarly, over here, see numbers over here for the clean sheet odds and projected goals scored. Liverpool, Tottenham, Villa on top. Chelsea, fourth. Brighton, fifth. This is why I mentioned if you have Pedro, you have to start him because Brighton have the higher ceiling this week than most other teams. Quick look at the win percentages. Chelsea at 46. It's traditionally a tough trip away to West Ham. It's the first game of the weekend. Let's hope the Blues don't ruin it for me. Villa Wolves, this is of course a derby. I think Villa will win this one. They looked very good midweek. Liverpool looking to bounce back against Bournemouth. The Leicester Everton one is probably one of the more difficult ones to call this week. You see 37% win for Leicester, 35 for Everton. That shows how close it is. Fulham Newcastle. Newcastle are marginal favourites. That could swing now, I think, if Isak is out. A lot of people think that Isak out makes Gordon a better asset since he's going to be playing up top. I don't agree. It's not a natural position for Gordon. He's much better on the left, in my opinion. I'd much rather, if Isak is out, we see Osula over there. Southampton are favourites against Ipswich. Based on what I have seen from the two teams so far, I don't necessarily agree with that. Tottenham, Brentford, naturally, you see Spurs are favourite. Palace United, again, marginally in favour of United, but looks like a difficult game to call. Brighton and City, of course, the favourites in their respective fixtures. Now, before we jump on to the watch list, my dilemmas and the other stuff, I wanted to talk about the sleeper matchup this week, which we have in draft, which I'm quite excited about. It's against our friend Big Man Bucker. We won our first game against FPL Salah last week, and now the one with Bucker is quite interesting because he had the first pick in the draft. He picked up Haaland. So we are up against Haaland, and this is potentially the best time to go up against Haaland when he's playing Arsenal. He has Gabriel as well, who I think is currently benching. You can't see him in his lineup. He has a lot of players who are playing against each other as well. A lot of guys, like for example, we have Pedro, he has Rutter, the direct matchups over there, which are quite interesting. Apart from that, the picks with him, I'm really worried about as such. Not that many. Potentially Rashford. I hope Munoz does well because he's in my team as well, but not that many because I think we've gone for sleeper, we've gone for a traditional FPL scoring system. So the guys are like Bruno Guimaraes, Pereira, Tielemans, good football players, but not necessarily great FPL output merchants. So it's going to be an interesting one. We're coming for you, Bucker. If you guys want to get on this, you can also remember join our Pick'em League, which we have all those prizes you guys know about. Manager of the month for both our Discord and the regular thing. You can download the app by clicking on the QR code on the left and join our Pick'em League with using the QR code on the right. Now the watch list, I've updated and it's a bit of a difficult one this week because a lot of the players who have a good fixture this week don't necessarily have the best one from the weeks going forward. So it was strange to do it, but let's see what we got over here. Now goalkeepers have kept Martinez right on top, but obviously next week on is going to be Rea there. Flecken and Ariola will also move up. Martinez probably move a little bit down. I put Trent and Robertson up there as well, even though the next few fixtures start getting a little bit more difficult. They play Wolves, Palace, Chelsea, Brighton, Villa, etc. very soon. And Gabriel, for example, in fourth, you'd have to see is doing a disservice. He should be further up as well. Milinkovic, Forest fixtures get a lot better soon. Now, looking at mids, I've replaced Palmer with Saka, even though Saka's immediate fixture isn't great away to Man City. I think from the next week, you're going to be wanting Saka over Palmer. That's quite clear. Rogers as a budget mid. His place now is under doubt, I think, because I'm a little bit worried about Duran now starting at the odd game. Rogers has been playing as a support striker. You could see Duran play there. And we also have now Fabio Carvalho, who could emerge as an eighth midfielder option, is even cheaper at 4.8. Luis Diaz, again, very short term. Good fixture this week. I'm not even sure he'll start because Gakpo was very good, but I think Diaz hasn't done much wrong. He deserves to start this game against Bournemouth. Bumo, again, not great this week. Great fixtures coming up. Mitoma, good fixture this week, bad fixtures after. So you see what I mean. I couldn't really rank these guys very easily. Looking at the forwards, Watkins, number one pick up. Reminding you guys who are seeing this for the first time, Haaland and Salah will never feature on the watch list because they're the great best two picks in the positions. DCL Vardy again. DCL is ranked higher because I think he has a longer, better run of fixtures. Mateta also, now that we know that he's taking penalties. And Havertz will obviously go further up once we see Arsenal's fixtures ease up over after the City game. With Havertz, though, I am a little bit worried now that the Odegaard injury is going to cause him to play in midfield a lot because Merino is also injured. So, as my friend Pross would say, TBD on that. Now, my transfer dilemma specifically this week, I'll be looking to get rid of Muniz. So the two players I'm looking at primarily are DCL versus Vardy. Now, you have here the StatsBomb data. This is from the Fantasy Football Scout members area. On the left, you can see that Vardy has scored 2 goals from just 3 shots. That's 4 starts and 3 shots, 2 goals. Very Jamie Vardy-esque, but that's kind of worries me. I generally like to back players who have very good underlying data. Now you look at Calvert-Lewin, he's got 2 goals from 6 shots. Again, 6 shots is not a lot in 4 games, considering he started all of them. But in general, the thing I feel about Everton, they're very good against teams at the bottom, especially on their away matches. This was pretty much Sean Dyche's bread and butter last season. So I am currently backing Calvert-Lewin primarily because of the underlying data, but you have to keep in mind Vardy will be up against Michael Keane, and Michael Keane is just so rubbish. I'm currently 60-40 Calvert-Lewin over Vardy, but it could change as again my friend Pras says, TBD. There's also the question now of the wild card. A lot of us are panicking a little bit, thinking about pulling the wild card, and we might still do it depending on what injury news we hear tomorrow. But I want to explain to you guys, and my other two friends have already done it in their videos, why it's worth holding it now. Look at the fixture ticker now. This is from 5 to 10, and look at the entry points for some of the teams you'll be investing in. Now, Everton is all right at Leicester. Brentford, again, you can talk about Tottenham away, not great. Arsenal are at Man City away, and you see they have Leicester, Southampton, Bournemouth after that. Even with Man City now, Foden is an option. Pep said now he's finally ready to play 90 minutes. So somebody we might be wanting on the other side of this fixture swing. Then they have Newcastle, Fulham, Wolves, Southampton, etc., etc. So again, the entry points are not great this week. And somebody like a Joao Pedro, Forest, you probably want to get rid of him the next week. Look at somebody like Newcastle, their fixtures turn significantly after this week as well. Now you look at from game week 6. It's a much clearer run and much better entry points for Brentford. Even Manchester United, if you're looking at Rashford potentially, worth a look. Arsenal, Villa's run continues to be good. Just much cleaner way to get in. So now this is my team. You can see over here, I've got Henderson in goal this week. Trent, Munoz and Robinson in defense. Jota, Salah captain, Gordon, Rogers, Haaland, Isak and Muniz. So I will likely not be making a defensive transfer. The very little upside for clean sheets this week in midfield. Again, if Jota, even if I get news that he's not starting, I don't think I'm going to make the move because again, he can get something off the bench. He's done it many times before. The other guys are fine. Salah, Gordon, Rogers, Haaland, Isak and Muniz. Now, if I get some sort of news or inclination that Isak has not traveled, the move I could potentially do. If I need now, I have 0.5 in the bank. So Isak to Watkins, I'm 0.1 off it. And Muniz, my sell value 6.0. So I could do something like Muniz to Calvert-Lewin, which would give me the 0.1 I need to do Isak to Watkins for a hit. But I'd rather not do that personally. I think the move I'm most likely going to do is going to be Muniz to Vardy. Sorry, not Vardy, DCL. As you can tell, I'm not really decided on that yet. Again, this is an example now for a game week 6 wildcard, and I'll explain to you if you're going to wildcard in game week 5, how you can alter this. Let's say now you go with Rea and Fabianski in goal, Gabriel, Milinkovic, Greaves, Pinnock and Trent. So your Gabriel and Alexander-Arnold would be playing every week over here. Milinkovic and Pinnock have a decent rotation, which you could use. Then in midfield, Rogers, Saka, Bumo, Eze and Semenyo. Up top, Watkins, Haaland and Calvert-Lewin. Now, supposedly, let's say now you're building this for a wildcard 5, right? Now, obviously, you'd want to include Salah as a captaincy option over here. So I would keep the rest of the team the same. What I would do is fund it by downgrading Watkins to a budget forward. You could go for a Wood, a Welbeck, Pedro, or somebody else in the 6 million odd bracket. That's going to give you the money to upgrade Saka to Salah. Now, if you want Saka next week, it's just a single move. You can do Salah to Saka. You can bench somebody like a Pedro or a Welbeck next week and play Semenyo, who has a good fixture home to Southampton. And this week, you could bench Semenyo for the Liverpool away fixture. It's not that bad. But then you look at the fixtures you're buying into primarily, right? Look at your defense. You'll be buying into Rea and Gabriel. Not that great. We're buying into one of Milinkovic and Pinnock, who are playing Brighton away. Tottenham away, not that great. And Trent, I'm assuming many of you guys already have. If you don't, that's obviously a large appeal of it. Rogers, most people already have. We'll be buying Salah or Salah this week. Bumo again, Tottenham away. Eze, Manchester United at home. Good fixture. I see the appeal, but again, not someone I'd rather have next week. Semenyo, Liverpool away. If you choose to go there, you could go for an ESR also, but I think the ESR's time now is pretty much done. Be buying the Brighton forward again. You don't know which one you are buying, and again the fixtures are quite poor for later on. It's somebody you will want to get rid of later. So I'm generally not feeling the wildcard this week. If you can get over the line, it's not a very high ceiling week. Do try to do that. So for my team, I'll let you guys know what it was earlier. It will most likely be DCLN. I'm monitoring the team news very closely. I hope you enjoyed the video. I tried to keep it short this week because I know there's not much of time to consume it. It's on a Friday evening. Good luck. We'll see you again next week. Thank you.